another edition of the Small Business Huddle hosted by Creative Vision Media. I am so honored to have a longtime friend, Ben Essien, here with us today, of the owner of EBS Engineering. Um, Ben has been in business many years, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But what I like about Ben as well is he's also an advocate for small businesses. He's very involved in trying to get policy changes in the local Miami-Dade Broward community so that small businesses can grow. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Cherise, and I'm happy to be part of your program and also to do what I can to help other small business in the community.
Yes, so tell us first how long you've been in business. I know your business is based in Miami Gardens. How long have you been in business, and tell us what services your company offers?
Yes, we've been in business for 26 years, and actually in a couple of weeks, it will be 27. Yeah, and our office has been here in Miami Gardens for most of that time. And we offered engineering services, broad kind of. We do civil engineering, we do environmental engineering, and that would expand into highways design, parking lot design, drainage design, and also construction engineering inspection services.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us some of your client experience.
Yeah, we have a good number of clients over the years. And I think most of the time during that period that we've grown, Miami-Dade County has been one of our principal clients. And that's probably why we live here, we do business here, and we have the knowledge of the community that helps a lot, because we can go almost anywhere in the county without actually requiring direction and all that. So yes, Miami-Dade County is still one of our principal clients, and we offer them engineering design, like I told you. We also offer them environmental services, ranging from contamination assessment to small things like nowadays mold assessment, and also asbestos surveys and asbestos consulting services. We've done all that for Miami-Dade County, and we hope to continue to do more.
And so that's why we wanted to have a discussion with you today, because a lot of firms seek to do business with Miami-Dade County and really are not prepared or don't really understand what it takes outside of just landing the contract in order to be successful and to perform well and to be ready for the next opportunity. So I know you wanted to share some information on the PowerPoint, so we're going to put that up onto the screen.
Okay.
Wonderful. So we're going to make it full screen.
Okay.
And we're going to go to your first slide. So thank you so much for making this extra effort and developing some content that you wanted to make available to the small businesses tuned in today. So next slide, please. So one of the things I asked first early on is a lot of people say they want to get certified. And I know here you wanted to outline what you believe are the benefits of certification. Go ahead, Ben.
Yes, and yes, I want to also emphasize that when you have a business, you can decide not to be certified. In fact, you can decide not to do business at all with the government. People do that intentionally. They just do business for other businesses, or they do business for individuals, and they don't do business for government. And if you are in that category, I don't think there's any benefit to you to get certified, because you are not interested in doing business with the county or any government per se. But if you are interested in doing business with the government, then, and you also happen to be start small, then there's a benefit in getting certified as a small business. Okay, and I've kind of had some highlighted points there. It would, give you ability to participate in solicitation that is reserved for small business only. Because even if you're a small business, but you are not certified, you're not going to be able to participate in the one that are set aside for small business. But you can participate in the one that is for everybody or the larger companies, So this one only.
Ben, so let me ask you, why is the certification attractive for larger companies? Why is it an attractive item for a small business to have? What makes it so attractive?
Yes, because it gives them ability to meet the goals set by the government in contracts and all that. And for you to be satisfied, you now provide that exposure to your company, because they would go sometime to go and look for companies that they can use to satisfy those goals or requirement that is set up by the government. So it's very good for you to get certified so that you can be part of those people who can do that. And of course, the certification comes in different categories. In Miami-Dade County here, it's mainly SBE. But if you go up to Broward County, you can also have county small business as well. And also the school board has a WMBE, which is a women minority, business enterprise. And of course, so the federal and the state has DBE programs that you can also, all of them serve the same purpose.
Absolutely. So it's important to know for Miami-Dade County, you would have to go to miamidade.gov and search small business certification to learn more about that process. So let's jump right into what should businesses know prior to bidding on a county contract. I'm assuming that's covered in your next slide. Let's go to the next slide.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
What are some of the things you want to highlight in this question?
First of all, you have to be a vendor. Before you think about bidding county work, you have to be a vendor. And that process is very easy. And nowadays you can do online. You don't have to leave your house or anywhere or your office. So you can do that online. And the second thing, after you've done that, is to know where to find the bid information, because it's very important. You have to know where to find the bid information. And nowadays for the county, it would be BidSync that you have to go to be able to have that information. In fact, you should sign up and receive the information of the bid, because you can choose what area of work that you are involved in. And then, or it doesn't have to be one, it can be two, it can be three, it can be four, it can be five, depending on your capabilities. You can choose that based on the North American Industry Classification Code, NAICS codes that we call them. Most of the time it's based on that. Sometimes the county or the municipality can have other categories that you can also buy into. So that is very important to sign up so that you can actually receive. When anything is advertised, you can receive it. Yes, another thing you need to have is, what are you bidding for? You have to know your specialty, what you are able to do. You can't just say, I want to bid for that. No, you have to know what your capabilities are. You have to have knowledge and experience in the work that is going to be provided, and you can now use that knowledge to bid. If for the county or even other situations, it's good to know the key responsible staff that would be issuing this bid. For instance, in the airport, the project manager, the contract manager, it's good to know those people. Who are those people? And even talk to them before the bid is advertised. I think it's always good to do that. And another thing, evaluate your options. If it's your first time, I don't think it might be good to go as a prime, to bid as a prime. You may want to go as a sub on one or more teams so that you gain the experience of the bidding process itself. And if you still want to go as a prime, or even for your self-knowledge, you can also request. We live in Florida, we call it sunshine. You can actually request for previous bids, that are either similar or the same contract. And this would help you be prepared to actually know whether you want to bid, because you see what those people put into the package. Do you have that? You have all the certifications, you have all the requirements before you actually start on the process.
So 2 questions for you. One, if you're a proposer, I know that you can look at bids that have already been awarded, but if you're a proposer and you do not win the bid, what do you recommend small businesses do at that point?
At that point, I think it's clearly that if you have the resources and the time, I think you should request for the winning proposal. Not to protest, but to get information to see what you did differently. And if it's a construction that is based on bids, I think it also gives you the way to look at the prices and see what did I go wrong? What would I have adjusted, that could put me on top of the other guy. So I think it's normally good to do that too. If you don't win the bid, don't be angry, but just say, okay, can I have a copy of the winning bid? And like I said, nowadays it's very even more easy, because when you ask by email, they will send it to you by email and you don't have to pay a fee. In the olden days, you used to pay a small fee for copying, but now you don't have to pay anything because they're going to send you electronic copy and you can print it out if you want.
Another question for you. During the bidding process, if you do find a prime to team with, how do you protect yourself as a small business to make sure the amount or the percentage of the contract that they propose that you will handle, that's the percentage you actually get when the award is granted? How do you protect yourself as a small business?
I think I would say there is no foolproof protection. First of all, you have to have a teaming agreement with them or a subcontract agreement with them. Some of them, most of the time, would give you only a teaming agreement until the contract is won. After the contract is won, you have now to try to get them to translate that to a subcontract agreement. Because if they give you a teaming agreement and they don't convert that into a subcontract agreement, you still don't have any guarantees. So you have to try to do that you need a subcontract agreement that spells out what you have to do and how you'll be paid, because you don't want to even do the job and then you don't get paid. One of the principal things that is in the subcontract agreement, he said, okay, after 7 days of, submitting an invoice, you'll be paid. Or after 1 month of submitting an invoice, you'll be paid. So these are the important things that you need a subcontract for, not just the work alone, but payment. It's very important.
Right. It's also important to note that it does win the award. Get a copy of the prime. Don't just rely on the contract that the prime sends to you, because you want to make sure the protections that these agencies have for small businesses are included in the language that's sent to you. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the primes are supposed to do that even without you. That is, when they give you a subcontract, they should attach the full contract that they have, as part of the attachment. Okay, thank you.
Oh, always.
Okay.
Yes, they should. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Ben. So we're going to go right now. So you talked a little bit about teaming. There we go.
Yes.
And then, so what's your approach for team? Because I've always found by the time the bid is out, the teams have already been put in place.
In fact, some of them will tell you it has been put in 1 year in advance. They will tell you it's been put in place 1 year in advance. But again, this is part of a small business marketing function.
Right.
And also networking, because you have to get there before it advertised. By the time it's advertised, unless you have a very strong niche specialty that no other person has, nobody will be calling you at that time. Okay, so you have to market yourself before, and that's why I talk about knowing the project manager, knowing the contract manager. That's the key, because if you know the contract manager and I can ask them, when is that contract going to be coming out? They will tell you. And you can also ask who was a prime last time, and they can give you those same information anyway. So now you can talk to the primes and see who you can be on a team with, and partner, or decide on your own that you're going to be a prime. So it is very important to do that work a long time ago, not immediately. It's not going to work when it's advertised. Most of the time is before the advertisement that you have to talk to the primes and market to them what you think would be a winning strategy. Like I said, by teaming, you are combining the strength of the individual company. So the prime wants to have that strength that you have, bring that strength to the table to help give them a competitive edge. And I think that's what you have to market. That's why you have to sell. And in construction and some other things too, because the teams are brought together with the intent of lowering the price, making sure that you are doing things more efficient than the other person, that you make the team more efficient and more profitable. That is why they are bringing you on the team. So most of the time you have to have those selling points. Another thing is qualification. Like I've said again, you have to emphasize your qualification and experience of your staffing, so that some of these multinational that you can team with, they are, even though they will show the workers, they have all the workers, but they may not be local. So they may need you a guy that is local and know the groundwork and know some of the details that are in the local market that their guys may not know. So that's what you can sell, and you become a team member as well.
So before we go on to compliance, so what is your approach if there's a challenge with working with the prime? What is your approach? For example, let's say it's a payment issue. Do you go directly to the agency, or do you figure out a way to address it with the prime without impact?
I think the best way is always to try and find a common ground to negotiate with the prime. And also, look at the person in the organization who has the authority, and also maybe would show a little bit of compassion towards your situation, and then try to negotiate with them first. And if that doesn't work, it's only then that you would have to either escalate it, if it's a government contract, to the county or to the owner. But I really think that you should be careful enough to, first of all, work with the prime and see what the issues are on their side. Are they being paid late? Or is it that when they are paid, their department, inside department is taking time to, send the funds over to your side? So those are the things you need to work with the prime and get resolved, because most of the time, if you can't resolve that payment issue, you may not be able to work with that prime, ultimately, because it's always an issue anyway. So yes, I've done it both ways. I personally, I've done it both ways. I have worked with the prime and tell them, look, this is my situation. I'll wait another month, but I'm a small business, and you explain to them your circumstance, and most of the time they will come through. But I can remember one situation in Broward that I had to walk away because it was 1.5 years. We were doing work for 1.5 years and we were not being paid. And, wow. It was tough to survive. So I went over to the government. Of course, they paid. And after that, okay, they wouldn't use us again anyway. So.
Mm-hmm. So wait, before we go to compliance, one more question.
Yes.
What is forecasting, and has that process worked for you? Have you been able to get the forecasting list and use that as an opportunity for identifying future bids? What is forecasting?
Yes, I've used that. And also,
tell us what it is. Tell us what it is, Ben. What's the forecasting list?
Yeah, the forecast, depending on the agency, depending on the government, they would come out each year. I would use DOT, for example. They would talk about the workload for the year. There is normally a meeting, but also you can find them on their website after that meeting. They would forecast what project would be coming up for the next fiscal year, which would be usually around 9 to 12 months anyway. So you can go through those projects now and do your homework. And the homework is identifying who has that contract right now, identifying who might be interested in going after that contract as a prime, particularly if you yourself cannot go as a prime. And then try now to link up, network, to make sure that by the time it's advertised, you are already on 1 or 2 or 3 teams, or you have already set up your own team to go after that. Yes, forecasting is very key, and that is why most of the time, the incumbent, the person who has a contract has an advantage because they do know when that contract is going to be advertised, and they do know the project manager, and they're working with them on a daily basis. So that's why they normally have some advantage. So you have to put yourself in advantage by looking at, that focus, whether it's in the city or, like I said, on the federal level or DOT. You need to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. So we're going to go right into compliance because I know we're almost out of time. Tell us, what is compliance for Miami-Dade County? This is a big deal if you're looking to do work with the county.
Yes, and if you're doing work with the county, like I said again, in my simple way, I said it is crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. That is, you have to make sure that you have all the paperwork. Whether it's for certification, whether it's for the actual bid, you have to have the licenses necessary. Whatever you need to have, sit down and make sure you have all that. And if you do get the work, you have to maintain those licenses to be current. You have to provide your staff with training to know the standard and code and everything that is applicable to the contract, because if not, you may not be in compliance. You will not be in compliance. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to have quality control team, or at least one person, and you have to have a manual depending on the area. Those are the ways to keep compliance. And nowadays, you can flag them on your computer when this is going to be due, when that is going to be due. Is that, so compliance involves all that, and I would say more. So, but we don't have the time to talk about all of them. But again, its basic thing is that you have to have a quality control, you have to have training of your people, you have to have the licenses, the requirement, the codes, everything has to be in perfect condition or in place when you are doing the work, when you are doing the submittals, for you to be in compliance at each point of the way.
Very good. So I know a lot of people don't pursue county work because of the compliance component.
Yes.
Related to responsible wages. Tell us a little bit about that, and something that people should be prepared to cover and include those costs in their bids, because that's a lot of times where the small business makes the mistake. Talk to us a little bit about that area of compliance.
Yes, and I think particularly in construction, it's not in every case, but in construction and some other services, yes, there are those wages that are applicable. And when you are reading the request for bids, proposals, and all that, you have to read through it thoroughly and make sure that the cost that you are putting there reflect the cost that would enable you to pay those workers, not just for the first year, right, but for the increments year after year of that contract. Because like I said at one point, our government contract usually lasts 3 to 5 years, and sometimes there is an extension. And every year you have to meet the increase. And if you are not in compliance, then of course you can keep that contract. So it's very important to make sure that you read and know what is in that package before you actually bid. Because if you bid thinking that, oh, I'm just going to pay them $10, no, $10 that you are paying them now will not be applicable because of the categories of work. Plumbing has a different, carpentry has a different, and all those categories have different. So you have to read and make sure that you are doing it the right way. So again, it's part of the compliance, and thank you for bringing it up. It's part of the compliance, because if you're not in compliance, of course the contract is going to go. Thank you.
Oh, we have 1 minute. I want to get your phone number before we close out, but I always ask everyone, what's the last book you read, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, my last book I read, wait. Actually, the last book I read, I have not read all of it because I had to give it to somebody. Okay. And
what was the name of it?
The name of it is, like I said, I gave it out, but the name of it is How to Win. No, it's the other way around. how to
win friends and how to win.
How to win friends and influence people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How to win friends and influence people. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I did. And my phone number is 305-625-5252.
Wonderful. And this is Ben Essien with EBS Engineering. He's an advocate in the community, a longtime business owner in South Florida. And we thank you, Ben, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Cherise. It's always a pleasure to work with you. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.